The great senator from the state of Vermont, he voiced his opinions loudly and clearly in a recent op-ed for The Guardian. He is calling on Democrats to expose the Republicans for their anti-worker views. Yes, let's do that. So here we go. Here's a headline from The Guardian. Democrats shouldn't focus only on abortion in the midterms. That's a mistake. America has long faced structural economic crises. Democrats must win on the economy and present a pro-worker agenda. I could not agree more with the senator. And he pointed that out very strongly. He continues to do that. He has been doing that for a very long time. But this is especially important in this moment when inflation and the pandemic barreling down on the people of the world. But we're talking about the United States right now. So he states in his op-ed, in my view, while the abortion issue must remain on the front burner, it would be political malpractice for Democrats to ignore the state of the economy and allow Republicans and their distortions to go unanswered. Now is the time for Democrats to take the fight to reactionary Republican Party and expose their anti-worker views on the most important issues facing ordinary Americans. Say that one more time, Senator, you are right on that. And on low wages, he calls them what they are. Here's what the senator had to say about that. 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck and millions work for starvation wages. We remain the only major country on earth not to guarantee time off for moms who have babies or need to take care of their sick children. Is there one Republican who supports at least 12 weeks of paid family and medical leave? If there is any Republican, will you please stand up and be accounted for? Because the last time I checked, there were poor Republicans as well as poor Democrats and libertarians, no party. Just flat out poor people all over this country without regard for political affiliation. And here we have the Republican Party doing what they do best. And that is absolutely nothing to support the people who are in need in these United States of America.
Yeah, so you're of course right. Bernie Sanders nailed it here. He's if they would take his advice, they would do far, far better in elections. But the problem is that they not just ignoring his advice in the op-ed, and that's the Democratic Party, but they ignored his advice 2 years ago when they got started with this term. That leaves them in a very vulnerable spot. So first, let me explain why Bernie's right. The Republicans have offered this for the economy: nothing, zero. And I'm not doing a hyperbole or political attack. I'm just telling you a fact. They've literally offered nothing to fix the economy. So they say, for example, their one proposal is let oil companies make more money. Okay, so we drill more in America. Great, then can we keep the oil in America so then we'll have more supply and that'll lower our costs in America? No, they should be allowed to sell it to China and Europe and everywhere in the world. Well, then how does that help us? It doesn't. It helps my oil executive donors. Okay, then be honest about it. You don't offer anything for the economy. And by the way, that's their only proposal. They don't even have any other proposal. They don't have anything. They're so easy to beat. So for example, on the issue that Nina just mentioned, paid family leave polls at over 80% in the country. Democrats, if you can't pass something that polls at over 80%, what's wrong with you? But Republicans, with Republican voters, your own voters, it polls at over 70% with just Republicans. So Republican voters, you need to understand that your politicians say, even though over 70% of you want this, we're not gonna give it to you. There's not a single Republican senator that voted for it. There's not a single Republican senator that'll ever vote for it. They're monsters. They don't help the economy, they ruin the economy, right? Now, having said that, how many times have you heard that from Democrats? Almost never. Why don't you make your own case? Well, of course, Nina, as you know, one of the issues is that they didn't pass any of the goddamn laws. We gave them all of these incredibly popular progressive proposals like paid family leave, and they bumbled it away. Why? Because they're not honest. They're just serving their donors. If they weren't unshackled from their donors, they could rip into the Republicans and easily not only win this election, they could landslide them. Look, child tax credit. even more popular than paid family leave. All of these but what happened? They ran it for a year and then they cut it off. So now people are blaming the Democrats for cutting it off, but it was a Democratic idea because they won't put it back in because their donors would be furious with them. And finally, $15 minimum wage. So every Republican voted against higher wages, but unfortunately, so did 8 Democratic senators. So if the Democrats had voted the right way, right now they could be pummeling the Republicans. They could be saying, hey, you know what? We're for higher wages. Your inflation's sky high, your costs are high. At least you should have higher wages to pay for all of that, right? And it would force the Republicans to be in a position to say, no, you should have lower wages. And then you win easily. But Democrats won't do that because a lot of them are just as corrupt as the Republicans.
There it is. I mean, they're complicit as well. And that $15 an hour minimum wage increase, or increasing the federal minimum wage, was a slam dunk. Absolutely did not get that done because unfortunately both parties suffer from the same disease, and that is control of the owner donors. That is what the upper echelons of both parties have in common, selling out the everyday working class people of this country from all backgrounds. I swear, Cenk, I feel like some of them will sell out their own mama for these owner donors. I mean, that's exactly what it's looking like right now. That is no exaggeration. And I double dare somebody, I want them to prove me wrong, especially the Republicans. Please prove me wrong on this. Senator Sanders went on to say that if Democrats don't fight back and call out Republicans, they face being in the minority in both houses next year. I mean, that is really what he was intimating. This is really what this op-ed is about. And there's some polling, and we know that polling, Cenk, is just a snapshot in time, but there's polling out right now that's showing that independent voters are going the other way on this, unbelievably. I cannot believe that this is happening given the recalcitrance of the Republican Party, but it is happening. But it doesn't have to stay this way. The Democrats can come out and they need to come out swinging hard if they want to maintain control and then do something with the power once they have it, because it's nothing like having power and squandering it. You got to come hard. So he also spit straight fire, straight facts about our broken healthcare system. And we're gonna end on this right here. We're gonna come back to this. But while we continue to pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, 3 of the largest pharmaceutical companies in America, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, AbbVie, increased their profits by over 90% last year to $54 billion. That is with a B. And a lot of that medication, a lot of those pharmaceuticals come from the research that our tax dollars pay for. So again, just because this is the conundrum today does not mean that this has to be the reality tomorrow. We must stand up and fight. We must push these elected officials to serve the interests of the overwhelming majority of people in this country. The Democrats have been given the opportunity, Cenk, to have a slam dunk on these Republicans, and they got to use it.
Yeah, but the jury's in, and I hate to say this. I just got interviewed a couple of days ago, at the end of last week, and I said, look, I still don't know who's gonna win the elections, especially in the House. But now I'm worried that I do know. The latest numbers are 49-45, and you might think, well, that's kind of close. At the national level, that's a big swing. The Democrats were up by 1 a month ago. Now they're down by 4, and the election is a couple of weeks away. So, and the Democratic Party is not going to listen to Bernie. They never listen to Bernie. And there's no hint that they're going to listen to Bernie. And so they're going to run straight into that brick wall. And then when they do, guess who they're going to blame? They're going to blame people like Bernie and you, Nina, and me. And of course, that leads us to the last culprit, which is always the case, mainstream media. So did mainstream media ever tell anybody that the Republicans have no proposals to improve the economy? That the Republicans have never had any proposals? Did they tell the voters, hey, did you know that every Republican politician is opposed to something that you want by very large margins? The Republican voters want by very large margins? Never. It's also, by the way, true of federal background checks on guns. Like nearly 90% of Republicans want that. I know, doesn't that sound like a shocking fact? But the media never actually tells you the polls that matter on this stuff because they're too busy kissing Republican ass and making everything 50-50. And then when people like me and Nina try to fight back against Republicans, they say, oh no, you guys are not Democrat enough. No, we're trying to push the Democratic Party to be more democratic. And they're like, nope, you sound like Republicans. Are you insane? I just told you the Republicans are useless and they're destroying this country. And the media is like, nope, nope, nope. We're not gonna tell the people the truth at all. And because part of the reason is they're part of corporate rule. So why doesn't the corporate media and corporate Democrats fight back against these monstrous Republicans? Because they don't want you to have single payer health care. Their advertisers are all drug companies, and they don't want you to negotiate drug prices. That's why they passed the Inflation Reduction Act. Had plenty of good things in it, but negotiating drug prices was not one of them. That part of the bill was a total and utter fraud. It was fraudulent. They're not reducing a single drug price until 2026, and then it only applies to 10 drugs out of thousands and thousands of drugs. Yeah, so they're never gonna do the right thing, and the media's never gonna tell the truth because their agenda is not the truth, it's not news. Their agenda is corporate rule. So that's why we're in the situation that we're in. And by the way, the cherry on top is that honestly, when you look at the leaders, a lot of the people who are just simple politicians and simple reporters and anchors, a lot of them don't even know it. But at the very top, they know it. They don't mind if Democrats lose because that gives them an excuse to not do anything for 2 years. And the donors love the status quo. So if the Republicans capture the House and the Democrats keep the rest, the donors will be in hog heaven. Everything will stop and the workers will get no help at all. The average American will get no help at all. And the donors and these two corrupt political parties and this corrupt mainstream media will be ecstatic.